Hey everyone. So in this video, I'm trying something new. I'm just combine all the videos together, but I just wanted to share that this video covers Ollama and Open WebUI setup in WSL. By the way, this slide is from Napkin AI. I just was trying it out and it looks good. So first of all, what we'll do is we'll explore Ollama in WSL, where we'll just set it up and then make sure that we can understand its capabilities and what else it can do. And then what we'll do is we'll take a small dive in Docker volumes. And the reason for that is that I faced some login issues when I was going through it. And I just wanted to make sure that I understand it. And you can see as well, hopefully you don't lose your access to it. And then what we'll do is we'll go into Open WebUI and set it up with Ollama. There were a lot of issues because I had Ollama in WSL, and this video kind of covers how you can make it work. Kind of a hack, but hopefully it works for you as well. And then finally, we'll just share a little more about Open WebUI and how you can use the open source code and change anything if you want to, in order not to use the one by default given Docker image, but use your own. So let's get started. Hello, everyone. Today we are going to try to create setting up a local LLM in our own environment. So there's a lot of reasons you want to run local LLM in your environment, especially one is that you don't want to pay or you don't want to use an existing cloud LLM. But it's always good to learn how you can do that. And you can run your own local agents knowing that your data is not going anywhere else. But either way, let's just get started. So let's do a very simple test. So in order to run LLM in your local environment, you want to make sure you have GPU. Most of the time it's an NVIDIA driver version which you want. So you can check if you have the latest, or not latest, but the accurate thing available. So NVIDIA SMI, if this shows up, you're good. You can continue. If you don't, you might want to install GPU, and I can share that link in description how which video talks about it. And your computer also has to be compatible. You should have a GPU. Since I have it, I can continue moving on. So you can use this curl command just to directly install from the Ollama website. So if we go here and just enter, it'll ask for my password. So I'll give my password. Doesn't like my password. So there you go. It downloaded the whole thing. So it says created a symlink as well. Great. And then there was a segmentation for code dumped. And GTP detected. I don't know. This is really an error, but it looks like the installation is complete. Awesome. So I can just run Ollama. Is it there? Ooh, nice. So I can see all the commands. Great. If I want to run something, let's see. So we can do run llama 3. File does not exist. Let's list the models. I have no model. Oh, I gave the wrong name. So the first time we run this, Ollama will see that we don't have Llama 3 model. And you can see that I wrote the wrong one and I was trying to list it, but that wasn't downloaded. So it will connect to its servers and download it. So that's what's happening right now. And it may take some time, as you can see, but once downloaded it will load the model into our GPU's memory. And after this is running, I think we should have a chat prompt ready to talk to the model. So let's wait and see. If you want to see, there's all the list of Ollama free models which we can access. So there's a lot of them. I do not know the difference and what they all can do. I'm learning with you, so I'll take a look as we learn about it. So let's just see how this goes and we'll talk more about this. Okay, it's finishing. There you go. I think we have it running. Let me ask it a question. Okay, there you go. So we are getting an answer. You have it ready. Now I do not know if it can access things outside. Probably not because it's running locally. But let's try it. What if I want to ask something which is latest today? So let me see if I can stop it. Okay, I stopped it. That was rude, but we can do it. What's the news for? I'm doing it on 2nd August 2025. So you can see here it's thinking it's in the future, August 2025. So it's the model is based on 2023, and it's giving the answer based on that. Now, if I want to stop here and try a different thing, so let's ask, can you scrape a GitHub website? Let's see if it can go online. So it says I can help with that. So that means that it cannot go to that. Okay, let's try something else. We can also give some commands. So you can see load, save. I think you can use different LLM models for it or something like that. I will explore this further. But what you can also do is see how your memory is performing. So if you want to look at on a different tab, let's say NVIDIA SMI, so it will give you the current usage of what your how much your memory usage is being used. So if I let's say ask another question to LLM, it will allow me to show those stats. For some reason, I'm getting segmentation fault, which I cannot figure out. But ideally, this will give you the result. But I'm going to stop here so that I can explore this further and we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you. All right, following up, you can do a lot of things with the Ollama CLI, but let's just do some simple things. Say I want to look at what CLI options I have. So you can see I have these different ones. Let me just go through each of them and I can just keep it on the side here so that I can show what's happening with each. So you can, first of all, if you want a list of all the models, you can see here. Right now I have only one, right? Now let's say I want to get one more. Let's say I want to get the new model GPT OSS as of now. I don't know what model you're looking at when you look at this video, but let's say, so I can either do pull GPT OSS just like how we do in Docker, or you can directly run. Run does pull along with running the model. So let me just pull right now. So it's 13 GB. It's going to take some time. Okay, this is going to take forever. Let's continue doing something else. Can I move this here? Okay, awesome. So this can continue on the side while I can do other things. The run option will both pull and run the model at the same time. Now, if I want to stop running a model, I can run stop, of course, but let's run something. Let's run what I have already. I can't do auto tab, so it's gonna, let's list it first so that I know which model I'm running. So it's Llama 3, right? So let's run Llama 3. Let's see if it starts. And once more, if you want to run the new models, I think you'll have to reinstall Ollama or re-download it to get the latest Ollama shell file. So there it is ready. Now if I just ask, help me explain quadratic equation. So you can see that it's gonna continue giving whatever it can. Now I can also copy this one. So let's say I wanna copy my existing Llama 3 model into my Llama 3, right? So let's see how that goes. Okay, no, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to do it here. My Llama 3 copy. So now if I list it again, I mean two different versions of my Llama, one is the copy of the other one. And then if I want to remove this, I can simply use remove it as mentioned. I wish it had the autocomplete, but it doesn't, so it's deleted. You can see that. So PS, just like in Docker, when you do Docker PS, it shows the running containers. It will show that, and I can push a model to a registry. So I guess if I want to push, I haven't tried it, so I'm not gonna. Let me get more experience before I push anything. But these are the different models, and if I want to see what model contains, these are the details. I have no idea what these means right now. I have very little knowledge about this, so I'm learning with you again, and we'll see how it is. I just can see that it is Meta Llama 3 community, right? So once the other one is done, we can see more things to do. Now, what can we do with having the local thing running? Now, one more interesting thing you can do is you can run Llama 3. So let's say I'm doing this, and I can give my prompt right here if I don't want to use all the, what is quantization in a model. So in this way, you don't have to like start the model and then run it. You can just run it in one go and continue. So yeah, so I'm not gonna go detail into it, but it is running all the way. And then you can also pipe into it. So let's say I ask the same question, what is computing in 50 words? And then let's say I pipe my, let's see how that looks. Oh, great. So that's another way you can use it. Nice. And it finishes and gives the terminal back again. Okay, that is finishing the other model we were doing. All right, so we have a model running. Let's also look at what else is there. So yeah, GPT OSS is available. Now, while we are running Llama, it opens up a port which you can verify here. See here the Ollama is running on this localhost 11434. That's the default port it uses. Let's do this. So the port allows you to connect to any of the web applications or something or other applications, but it's basically an API. So what we can do is this curl basically tells us that we can use a model prompt and stream. So you can change the model, you can change the prompt. Stream false means we can get the full response back in a single chunk once it's finished. And if it's true, it's going to continue doing it in a streaming response as we see in that other responses we get. So you can see it's going to take a little bit of time, but hopefully it gives the whole answer in one go. I should have given again how many words. Let me do that right now. Awesome. It gives the value as soon as we get it. So it's in a JSON format. So we get model, timestamp, and the response. I guess that's it. Or there's more things. Okay, cool. Let's see what else is there so we can look at it properly. Okay, so this is what it looks like when we are at the end able to see. So that's the response we get. And then there are a bunch of other things which we also receive. So that's what the API custom can do. So yeah, let's also try doing it with stream true and see how that answer is. And as expected, okay, so it's not just giving the text response, it's giving based on each of these models are coming as a single JSON one by one. And I think the response will be very small. Yeah, blue because of yeah. So depends on how you're utilizing it. So next, let's try utilizing this in Open WebUI. But before that, let's solve some problems of Docker volume which I faced. Hello everyone, this video is for a little more explanation on the Docker and a little more explanation of Docker volumes in particular. And I'm going to use the example of Open WebUI because that's what I was making a video of. So we'll take an example from there. Let's see how that goes. First of all, you want to make sure the Docker is there. I made a video for that so you can take a look at it. So once you have everything running, you can use this command. I'll explain this command in a bit, but let me just run it. So we couldn't find this image, so it's installing it. Okay, so first of all, this D means we can detach. That means when it's running, when it starts running, we don't have to keep this window open or keep this terminal open. The dash B 3000, 8080 means that it's setting up a port mapping. So it maps port 3000 on our local machine, which is the host, to port 8080 inside the container. So the container will use the port 8080. So ultimately, it means that you can access the Open WebUI application by going to this local host. So even though the container is running in 8080, we map it to 3000 and we can connect to it. Great. And then what does this do? So this adds an entry to the container's etc host file. It maps the host name, host.docker or internal to the special IP address host gateway. This is a crucial configuration apparently for allowing the container to communicate with services running on your host machine. So for Open WebUI, this is often used to connect to a large local language model server. So I'm learning with you, and then we have this dash v Open WebUI app backend data. So dash v means volume. So it's creating a Docker volume, and it's called Open WebUI, and it mounts it to app backend data, which is the directory inside the container. So Docker volumes is the right way to persist data generated by a container. So this ensures that the user data settings and chat history are saved even if you stop or restart the container. And then we have the name of Open WebUI. I think that's straightforward. So it's the name of the container. So it's easier to reference and manage. So instead of using this particular, so let me just do Docker PS here. Yeah, so instead of using the container ID as a way to find something, I can use Open WebUI. So if we do multiple attempts of this running, we can just use the Open WebUI, like for example, Docker stop, Open WebUI, Docker logs, Open WebUI, and anything. Restart always. So this configures the container to automatically restart whenever it stops. Let's say for some reason it crashes because it's software, it crashes all the time. It will just restart. The services will always remain available even when the system reboots. I guess when I shut down my computer and come back, this should start running once the WSL is running. we can verify that later. And then we have this final thing, and this is a Docker image to be used. So this is the registry and this is the image name, and main is the tag. So that's the tag. So in Docker we have different versions. It could be a particular version you want to use, or the main, which is generally the most stable version. And Docker will first check if the image is available locally, otherwise it downloads, which it just did. So let's try it. And now on localhost 3000 I can see this running, which is great. So Docker is ready. Now, in this next part, I wanted to talk about Docker volumes because that's a headache which I had. So here you go. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm running a Docker image with the port 8080 because I was getting tired of using 3000 everywhere. So that's the image we are running. Okay, now if I run this and if I want to see the logs of it, I can just use Open WebUI because that's the name I gave. So I can just use instead of using this hexadecimal name, and I can see this online. Okay, so this will take some time. Now, when this is running, I can go to localhost 8080 now, and you can see that it's expecting me to use my existing email. That's because I logged in earlier as something which I logged in. Otherwise, it would have been a new one, and that I have that email. Now, what happened to me earlier was I lost my password. I forgot what I gave, and then I got stuck in this rabbit hole of trying to recreate it, where I forgot that when we run our Docker image with this -v command, which means that it's a volume. So even if I stop this, remove this whole thing, and then restart it, it won't work. But if I stop this and redo this whole thing without this volume, then each time it will ask me to generate the, okay, I need to kill this. So I kill this, opening this again, and I'm running this again without that volume thing. So let's run this, and I can keep this on the side. Okay, so now if I do this again, so you see, it's asking for my name again, and I can give anything, whatever I want, and it will take it because that's my first account. Now, if I restart this again, it will restart from there. But now if I want to use the existing volume one, and again, I did not remove. So I'm going to remove this again and then run this again with the volume. So there's two things. So first of all, these are the images, and then this is the running Docker container. Okay, there you go. Open WebUI and Open WebUI data. And what we ran earlier was Open WebUI. So that's the one we need. Now, if I want to restart everything from scratch, all I need to do is remove this one. So Docker volume, let's see what's the command for it. Docker volume prune. So I can do rm, which will remove one particular thing or multiple, but prune will delete everything if I'm not using it. So let's try this. Yes, nothing. Why? Did it not delete anything? That's not helpful. Now, if I try to remove just the open one, it will give an error because I'm already running this. Yeah, so let's kill the one which we are using first of all. Okay, so there's nothing running now. So now let's go back and remove Open WebUI. Great. Now if I once again to list, okay, great. Now if I try removing Open WebUI data, will that work? Okay, there's no other volume now. Now, if I run this again, one with volume, Open WebUI, app backend data, that's how you will get the existing running one. You have to wait. And this should create volume. Yes, great. So we can do more things. Let's see if we can do, let's inspect. We'll ask for, yeah, WebUI. Okay, great. Right, so we are back here, and now whatever I give, it will take it to be the main thing. So if I want to remove this, I want to make sure that I remove the volume as well. Okay, so there you go. This was a little demonstration of Docker and Docker volume. Now let's get the Open WebUI working. Hey everyone, in this video we're going to create or set up Open WebUI locally in WSL and also handle some of the debugging which I had to do to make sure it works. Things which you need for WebUI to run. First of all, you need Ollama. So you need to make sure Ollama is there. I have a video on it. If you want to install it, you can use it, or you can use any other video, whichever you prefer. You need to make sure Docker is there. I also made a video on that because it's always good to make more videos. So once you have everything running, so I added these images earlier. So right now what I'm doing is I'm running a Docker image with the port 8080 because I was getting tired of using 3000 everywhere. So that's the image we are running. Okay, now if I run this and if I want to see the logs of it, can just use Open WebUI because that's the name I gave. So I can just use instead of using this hexadecimal name, and I can see this online. Okay, so this will take some time. Now, when this is running, I can go to localhost 8080 now. And in this current case, I already had logged in before. But if you look down there, that's how the first time you'll have to set up your username password and make sure you remember it if you're using volumes. I made a video and all that anyways. All right, so we have the Open WebUI running and it's great. I can see everything, but there's no model here. How do we get the model? So for that, we need to deal with Ollama. First of all, let's see if our Ollama is running. So we had it installed earlier. So let's just see what's the status of Ollama. Password. Okay, it says it's running. Now, there's multiple things I tried, and I can show you that, but I'll show you what worked for me. First of all, I was told to edit this config of Ollama.service, which is running right now. So I did try that. So I added this service. And again, if you read carefully, it says here anything between here and the comment below will become the contents of this file, which I totally ignored. And I was trying to update here and nothing was happening. So update between these two comments for it to show. And what you can check is by seeing this, see the override config here. So if I want to just see that value, so I can see that service Ollama host there. That did not work for me. So I can see my Ollama list is working here. So I have this GPT OSS model, and that's the only model which it shows. But if I want to verify if it's working, so first I want to check if my WSL terminal. So since I'm not able to see anything here, that means I need to check in my WSL terminal if I can see Ollama is running. And for the command for that is this. API tags. And I can see here that the GPT-OS is being shown as a model. But this needs to also work inside our Docker container. So I'm in the Docker container now. I run the same command again. That's where it's failing for me. Now the solution for this, I was told like I can give if I go back here and run the command like this, either with the local host or with this. So how I got this one. So that's this command. So if I exit here and I want to check what my WSL IP is, so this is the WSL IP. Maybe one day I'll do a short to explain this, but not today. So if I do this, or when I do curl inside the Docker container, it's going to give me the value, which it did not give me. Now, the only solution which worked for me, and I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong still here, but the only solution which worked for me was running Ollama by itself, which means that I need to kill this. So if I do Ollama serve, it's gonna fail because it's already running in the system CTL or system D. So I need to shut that down. Stop Ollama. Now I can do Ollama serve. Before doing that, let me kill this and run this again. Now this Open WebUI base URL, API base URL is the reason it will be able to match that current. Let me just log it so I can see everything. Now this, what it means is that we are starting Ollama manually and we are using 0.0 or Ollama serve. This means that it's going to listen everywhere. It's listening on all interfaces. So if I run this now and if I want to just check. Okay, so it has only one image. Now one model. This model is different from the one we had in system D because the system D was running a different place and this is running here as in the workspace. So if I want to list that out, see, so I can get other things here and the other one is running here. So if I go, yeah, there you go. So the GPTOS shows up here. The default one has only GPTOS. I had removed Llama because I didn't want to get confused between the two. And this one has only Llama. Either way, now this is running. And if I do Ollama list, it kind of, you can see the response coming back here. This means that our Ollama, and I can see all these changes. Now let's go back here. Our Docker container is running with this Open API base URL, but let's make sure that it's still working. So how do we do that? So we should check first of all if WSL is able to see the models. Great. Now let's go into the Open WebUI container and do the same thing here so that we can access it. And there you go. So you can still access it. Now that means that all the connections are good. So I can actually see that model in there. So now it's time to go back to our page and let's refresh and it's gone again. So let me just put my password again. Hopefully that's the right one. Great. Model is still not there because there's one more step we need to do. We need to go to the admin panel, go to the settings, connections. I would disable the OpenAI API key because that again gave me a huge headache. So while we're running locally, we just need this. But right now, all we need to do is just change this host.docker.internal to the IP which we had, which is the WSL IP we are using. Since we are running locally, everything, it needs to point to that particular one. So now I'm going to save it, it's updated. Now let's go back to new chat. And there you go. You have the new model. Now, if I try to go back and download a new one, let's see. I have no idea what these models do, but this seems reasonably small, so I'm going to download it. Great. So now we have two models. Great. Now, if I go back to my browser, okay, I don't know how this came about, but you do. Okay, so that's it working. So now we have a local Open WebUI setup. It's running locally. Now we use a Docker container. In the next video, we'll use a new container based on our changes on how we can use from the GitHub repo which we have. We can create our own container and do that. And we are also running Ollama locally. I had to do some hacks. I haven't really figured out why the systemctl one doesn't work, but this is for now. So thank you so much. Hey guys, so today we are going to try doing Open WebUI, but without the Docker image. So we have this GitHub repo, and I'm going to clone it. So we have the repo clone, and there's multiple ways where you can use it. So if you see here, this is how Open WebUI site looks like. So as you can see, this is a heavy JavaScript svelte built language along with a lot of Python and TypeScript, I guess. So what is Svelte is a front-end JavaScript framework, just like we have React and some other ones. So this one also uses Svelte. What I want to do is try to install it. So you can either use pip. One of the things is you can install using Python pip. I think you need to have Python 3.11 version. I have 3.12, which is okay. If I want, I can do it, but I don't want to do this right now. I mostly want to use GitHub version of it so that we can make whatever changes we want. So if you see earlier, I do have images. Now I could have run this image and just use it, but it's only dependent on whatever is happening here. One thing you can do is fork this repo. You can already see 15,000 people have forked it. Many people may not be using it, but still there's a huge number. And fork it and then use it as much as you want. The problem with forking it is that you will have to continue rebasing. Now, if you just want to make small changes to the UI which you use, that's totally fine. But if you want to use it as a running thing for yourself, you might have to use instructions here. We have Ollama on our computer, and all we need to do is to run this. So we covered that in the previous video where we can just use this image and just run it. That is totally fine, not a problem at all. And instead of using this image, what you can do is you can build your own image. So now that you're here, and you can see there's massive amounts of Docker Compose files here. That is totally fine. But there's also Docker file, and that's the key thing which I wanted to focus on today. So if you look at Docker file, again, this is a huge file. Now we can start from scratch. That is totally okay. So you can see, so generally the Docker files are very small, but here they have, this is a big file. The most important thing here which I wanted to share is the Docker file. Now this Docker file allows us to build a whole new image based on the changes we make here. Now let's say if I want to make any changes here with all those things, which we can look at it later, but the point is that this Docker file allows. Now there's a lot of things. This is an open source project, so I'm sure there's building a lot of things. So you can see they are building from a front end, and then there's also a back end. So they're using multiple images and then building one big image out of it. But the main thing we need to see is this from image. That's a node alpine image which they're using to start the front end, and they're building something on top of it. How do they do it? There's other more commands to it. I'm not going to go in detail, but these commands allow, you can see package.json, which is a node specific thing, and then going deeper into it and building the whole thing. So that's one thing. And then you use WebUI backend, and then that means we get the Python image as base, and then we make changes or add things to it. There are environment variables, adding models and whatever not, which is great. But the main thing is that at the end of the day, it needs to run our like Open WebUI thing. So if you look at it, after all this is done, so it runs the backend, it runs the front end. Towards the end, you will just see the start.sh. So there is a start.sh which has been started, which is supposed to make sure that the whole image runs, or yeah, the image runs in the container with that particular script. So to see what that does, we can look at start.sh. So it's in backend. So this script allows you to run bunch of things. So I'm assuming this will just make sure that all the network is connected and we have other variables set, and at the end of the day it will run a Python command. So it's a Python server running uvcorn. That's it. So that runs the whole server. If I want to make these changes, I can do docker build with something, some image name, and then we can do dot, which will point to this particular Docker file and then use it. But someone has already done this, or open source community has already done it. It's called run.sh. Now, I don't want to go deeper into any of those, but this file is interesting because it exactly explains what I was going to do on on my terminal, but it allows you to do it right here. So if you see here, it's a simple script. It takes the image name, it takes the container name, which basically means once we run the image, what would be the name of the container right there. And they have the host port, container port. So that means if it is running on 3000, it will show as 8000, and all those details are presented here. And then, so what we do, we build with this image name with the Docker file given. We stop the container, whatever was running before, I'm assuming, and then we remove the container, and then we run the new image which we just created. We created this new image, and so we can continue doing that. So in this case, we already know from our previous video that we can run Ollama. So let's run Ollama in a different terminal. We'll move this all up. Let's get some Ollama going. How do we do that? So we use this command, Ollama host 0.0, to start the Ollama. It's already in use. So probably, yeah, so that's still running because I think I restarted my WSL. Let me shut it down. Okay, great. So that starts Ollama serve. So I'm able to do that. Awesome. Now, so I know that I need to run my Docker run command, something like this. Now, obviously, since they have already given us the script, I can do that there. So instead of using host Docker internal host, I can put this there. So we have the URL ready. I don't know why -e is giving an error there. And let's change it. I want to change this to local so that it builds a local image. I can see what images I have. I have Hello World and Open WebUI, so that's great. Now all I need to do is run this image, which this. Let me just make sure I have everything else correct. I'm restarting always. I have the container name. Okay, so now let me run this. So if I run, just want to run run.sh. So this run does not have an executable command because I'm assuming this is being used as a helper function somewhere else. So I can change its, okay, now it should be executable. So let's try it again. Okay, there you go. Let's wait. So that actually failed. Okay, so it looks like it failed because of a fatal error. Researching it, I saw that if you go to Docker file, you have this thing called node options. So apparently I need to modify this or uncomment it, which is a common way to handle a Node.js environment. The solution is to increase the memory limit for Node.js to process itself. I'm sure other people faced it, so that's why there's a comment here. So let's uncomment it and try it again. Okay, so it looks like it's done. Let's see. I don't think there's an error, but okay, there you go. Our local image is ready. It's slightly larger than this one, but this is also 7 weeks ago. So I'm assuming it has increased since then. And if I do docker ps, nothing is running. What happened here? Okay, so let's see. I don't want to build again because that will take a huge thing. We already have the image here. Let me clear this. Images. I have it. So now if I run.sh, what happens? My comment is creating a problem. Okay, let me just add an host with that. I don't think there would be a problem. Let's just continue here. Okay, let's see. All right, it's running. Great. And do I still have my images? Because it prunes it. Okay, I still have those. Good. What does prune do? It removes the undangling and unused images. Dangling images are those that are not tagged and aren't referenced by any container. I guess it should have pruned it, but anyways, it didn't. Never mind. So we have the Docker container running. Now it's time to test. Here we go. Let's look at the logs. Is it pointing to 3000? I didn't see that. I'm sorry. Okay, 3000 it is. We don't have a volume. Let me add it. Logged in, and there you go. We have the latest model here. You have the local image allowing it to run. Now the benefit of that is that whatever you decide to change here, in this whole code base. Let's say you want to change something in chat.svelte, you can build it again and then continue creating a new image, and it will allow you to use that image. You can also run it locally. Maybe I'll think about making a video about that, but for now, this is it. Thank you.